I would like to start with thanking Professor Fauzi and Professor Tariq for having me for such an interesting topic to explore. And I'm very happy to follow the intense. I'm very happy to follow the intense HIFO session. It's my pleasure, and enjoyed watching it. Yeah. So it's a quite different topic away from HIFO. I'm not sure if we are going to have HIFO interest in obesity in the future. Maybe it's something to explore. Yeah, so I'll just start by presenting myself. My name is Mohammad Abdallah. I'm one of the consultant radiologists in the UK. I'm the neuroradiology lead at Mid and South Essex Hospital, and I'm also FRCR 2B examiner in the UK as well. So our topic today is the MRI brain after the recently got famous treatment, Mounjaro, which is very famous now all over the world. So why would we explore Mounjaro? So why this topic would matter to any radiologist or neuroradiologist? So the struggle here is not fought in the stomach. It starts in our mind. So the battle for weight loss is often perceived as a simple equation of calories in versus calories out. Yet for millions, the struggle here is not fought in the stomach, but in the mind. So obesity and eating is actually starts usually in the mind. It's actually the relentless, intrusive thoughts of high-calorie food and temptation, the psychological craving that can derail the most disciplined efforts, leaving individuals feeling defeated and eager to eat. So the internal battle here highlights the crucial truth that lasting weight management requires more than just managing physical hunger. So it depends and requires more than just managing the physical hunger. And that's why it came, the Mounjaro, is the tirzepatide, which is the drug that caused the revolution in the treatment of obesity recently. So why we're investigating Mounjaro with MRI? So we have an MRI axial T2 image here from Professor Casey Halpern, who is a neurosurgeon in Pennsylvania medicine in the States, pointing at the nucleus accumbens, which is the center for the craving, center for the temptation for eating. So functional MRI have provided direct visual evidence that Mounjaro significantly reduced the neural activation in key reward areas in our brain, which is the ventral striatum, named as the nucleus accumbens, and also the orbitofrontal cortex. So the Mounjaro is the tirzepatide, has a dual GLP-1 GIP agonist, which is giving it the priority over the previously known treatments for obesity. So it's about the dual effect, the central effect in the brain and the peripheral effect in the gut. And that's why functional MRI is studying the effects and the treatment of Mounjaro on the brain. So the gut-brain axis is a constant highway, communication highway between the brain and the gut. And the reward modulation, the tirzepatide, is leveraging the highway and stopping the signal from just you're full to the signal that maybe I can reward myself for something more. So basically, we have two pathways for eating. Is the homeostatic pathway, which is centered in the hypothalamus, and this is the energy need for eating, just that we call it that I need to eat just to physically maintain myself. And this is the homeostatic pathway. The other pathway is called the hedonic reward pathway, and this is centered in the amygdala and also in the nucleus accumbens, the rewarding center for the brain. So these two pathways are targeted by Mounjaro. So again, why we're studying this? Because simply obesity has been recognized now internationally that it's one of the highest risk factors for cognitive decline and brain atrophy changes. And that's why we're intensely studying that in our neurocenter in the UK. So brain imaging with functional MRI, structural MRI, and DTI also is examining the effects of Mounjaro on the brain, especially, as we said, on the centers of eating in the hypothalamus and the nucleus accumbens. So these alterations happening in the brain after Mounjaro are likely to reflect not only the effects of the dysregulation of eating hormones, but also the effects of genetics and chronic low-grade inflammation caused by obesity. Another effect on the brain caused by obesity is the brain age, and this has been proven that obesity will induce early brain aging and atrophy changes. And these findings can be seen on the images on the next MRI images that I'm presenting. I'm just trying to rush in the sake of time. Yeah, so for example, this is a brain mapping for gray and white matter volumes demonstrating these red areas are the reduction in the gray matter volume evidenced by the functional MRI. And we can see here it's pointing at the red areas of insula atrophic changes and the nucleus accumbens. We used another technique in functional MRI. It's called voxel-based morphometry of the brain. And this is the image of VBM MRI technique used. We're assessing the structural composition of individual voxels in the whole brain, gray and white matter. And these are showing the red areas, which are the areas getting atrophied early because of obesity, because of the obesity-induced inflammation at the neuroaxis. And these were found to induce early Alzheimer disease as well, neurodegenerative diseases. Another areas of focused MRI, functional MRI study is these areas of arcuate nucleus, the paraventricular nucleus, and also the ventromedial nucleus. And these were food cue tasks. So basically, we're getting the patients getting fasting for 2 hours before the MRI, just drinking some water, and then we start presenting food meals, tempting pictures of food meals to the patients, and starting to study how the effect of brain changes, the chemistry of brain will change during the food cue coming. So the cue is the signal of the food coming to the brain. And as we said, the amygdala and the striatum and the prefrontal cortex were the main areas getting affected. Another image of functional brain imaging, and this here we're using the blood oxygen level dependent functional MRI, targeting the tirzepatide compared to the liraglutide, which is earlier medicine, and the placebo. And on the week 3 under the tirzepatide, we can see the red areas getting reduced, which means we have achieved, or Mounjaro has achieved, the brain activation to reduce the effect of obesity on the degeneration of the brain cells. And this was evidenced, as we can see, by bold MRI technique of functional MRI. So the result, what are we expecting in terms of obesity treatment after tirzepatide on the patient, and what the clinician would expect? So in this diagram here, we have the sagittal view of the brain showing the dorsolateral parieto-frontal cortex and the nucleus accumbens and the caudate nucleus and the amygdala. All these areas were targeted, and there showed the nucleus accumbens, which, as we said, the brain's primary reward center, was blunted with terzepatide. And the orbitofrontal cortex also was involved before, and now it's less active. So it's actually dewiring the signals from the food to the brain. And also the amygdala, which, as we said, the responsible center for the emotions, for the rewarding center after eating. So they found that obesity is causing all this abnormality, front to mesolimbic circuit impaired cognitive function, and this has all resulted in these changes. And Mounjaro succeeded to block all these changes. So we're expecting here a shift in the mental focus. We're expecting changing the patient that's reported that they no longer spend time mentally thinking about eating after Mounjaro. And the observation also showed that the high-calorie food has no longer been appealing or even tempting, like too sweet or too greasy for the patient. And the mechanism also improved the satisfaction and the expectation of the patient. So the struggle and the waiting for food is no longer there. So we reach the conclusion that the functional MRI has showed us the evidence that this kind of treatment for obesity showed significant improvement in the results. And we were able to study how the brain has been affected by obesity, and now we know how the brain is getting some kind of cure after taking Mounjaro. And these are the take-home insights, that is suppressed, Mounjaro suppressed the signals linked to food cravings, and it also, the food noise about thinking and expecting to eat has been suppressed neurologically as well. And as we said, it all starts in our mind, not in our stomach. So these are references, and thank you. If you have any questions.
Thank you very much for the nice presentation. I would like to say that definitely there are so many questions to all the speakers, but we're going to have to make them off stage because we are already late for our next session. I would like to ask the chairman